Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are going to be looking at the 2022 Senate election in the state of Wisconsin, and why the Democratic Party, in my opinion, right now has a very slight edge, and why they have a good candidate in their treasurer, Sarah Godlewski. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sarah Godlewski is I think going to be the Democratic nominee. We can talk about the primary in a second, but I think that of their declared candidates, she's easily the best, and I think that when the polls start to come out for that race, she'll probably take the lead. Now, for the Republican primary, no one has actually declared yet, but Ron Johnson has said he's undecided on whether he's going to run again. Now, the interesting thing is, he originally said he was leaning towards not running. Now, since Donald Trump has, kind of egged him on to run. Donald Trump said that he endorsed Ron Johnson for the Senate seat, and he asked him to run for re-election. Uh, you know, since then, Johnson's been really quiet, and I think he's really unsure on whether he's going to run again, whether he is going to, how he's going to vote. Because right now he's voting like he's in a safer, like he's voting like he's a Republican from North Dakota right now. He's voting it's you can vote as a Republican from Wisconsin. What you can't do, or what you shouldn't do, I mean, is he has taken votes that are very, very corporate favored. These votes are, votes that you'd expect corporate establishment Republicans to take. And as we know, the Midwest, generally speaking, likes populists. So I don't think he's doing himself any favors with the votes he's been taking, especially on the on that $1,400 stimulus check that he ended up voting against. I don't think he should have done that. I think it would have helped him if he'd voted for it. Now, taking a look at the GOP's potential candidates, we have Kevin Nicholson, a businessman and a former member of the Wisconsin Board of Veterans Affairs. He also ran for Senate in 2018. I don't know that much about him, but I do know a little bit about Dave Beth, who's the Kenosha County Sheriff. I think he'd be a decent candidate, but again, we don't know. Sean Duffy, who is the representative from Wisconsin's former representative from the 7th District, which is the Northern District, that is now held by Tom Tiffany, I believe. Mike Gallagher, who's the incumbent representative from the 8th District, which is another safe Republican district, kind of in it's as you can see on a map, it's kind of Green Bay centered and exurbs of the place, as well as all of Door County, so it's a pretty Republican district. Ron Johnson then as well, who's the incumbent senator, we just talked about him, and then Brian Steele from Wisconsin's 1st District. This is the Southern District that was once held by Tim Ryan. So I think that, all these candidates, I'd say that Steele is probably the best because he comes from the most competitive district. I mean, I do believe that Obama actually carried this district in 2008, but it's been pretty Republican since then. But, the rest of these are from pretty safe Republican districts. Now, Johnson, I think he's a very mediocre candidate for the GOP. He has upside, but I think he'll do more bad than good for them. And I mean that, like I said, his votes aren't doing him any favors. When I talk about the way he votes, he isn't voting like a populist. This isn't a partisan thing. This isn't me, let's say hypothetically speaking, I was a Democrat. That's not me complaining about his votes. That's me saying that he is taking votes that do not make him look like a populist or someone who's for the working class. And as we know, Wisconsin is a very working class, blue collar state, and that's not going to help him in a state like Wisconsin. So I don't think he's doing himself any favors right now. But of course, we still have nearly 2 years to go. He could change his image. He could start taking votes that are more populist. Now, taking a look at the Democratic primary, it's a little more crowded, but I think some of these people we can knock him down fairly easily. Now, there is Tom Nelson, who's pretty well known. Tom Nelson is the Outagamie, I think I got that right, Outagamie, I'll just say Outagamie County Executive, and he is the former majority leader for the Wisconsin State Assembly back, I believe, like maybe a decade ago, when the Democrats had the majority. So he's been in politics for a bit. He is also the nominee for the lieutenant governor of Wisconsin in 2010, but the Democratic Party lost that election, and he was the nominee for Wisconsin's 6th and 8th Congressional District in 2018 or 2016, which I mentioned. So he is definitely someone who is well known, but I just don't think he's going to get the nomination. He doesn't have the name recognition that he should have. He's not a great campaigner, and I think that as of right now, Democrats have their eyes on Godlewski, And there's Lasry, who is the senior vice president of the Milwaukee Bucks, which it's interesting because they're a popular basketball team from the state's largest city. But I mean, it if he's if he's an NBA executive, I'm not sure that he's qualified to run for Senate, but not up to me to decide. It's up to the voters of Wisconsin to decide. And as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not from Wisconsin. And then there's Jillian Bettino, a radiologist. I don't even know what that is. I'm not even going to pretend like I know what that is. And then now Godlewski, I think we should talk about her, and we're going to pull up, and I had an article pulled up. But yeah, I said to pull it up, but Godlewski will talk about her in a second, and I just want to briefly mention Ron Kind and Mandela Barnes. Now, Mandela Barnes is the lieutenant governor of Wisconsin, so he did win in 2018. And then there's also Ron Kind, who is a representative from the most competitive district in Wisconsin, the 3rd district, which is a very working class district, kind of based in La Crosse, but it also expands out. As you can see here, it looks kind of like a Y, but he is a Democrat who won in a Trump district, so he has working class appeal, and he's quite popular there. Again, so I thought I'd mention that. So that is essentially it for the Democratic primary. But right now, and this is where I think that the polls and these analysts are wrong. Now, I'm fairly bullish on Democrats in a lot of races, and I'm fairly bullish on Republicans in a lot of races. For those who follow me on Twitter who are more engaged with what I do, I'm pretty sure you guys know that I am very bullish on the Republicans in the New Hampshire Senate race, and I get, I wouldn't say I've gotten memed for it, but it's become part of my reputation, and I'm okay with that. And I want, just as much as I want to be known as the guy who's bullish on Republicans in New Hampshire, I want to be known as the guy who is bullish on Democrats in the state of Wisconsin. I think that Wisconsin is a state where the Democrats, trends don't favor them long term. I think, in a decade or 2 decades, this can be a pretty red state. But right now, I'm going to have to say that they're favored for a few reasons. Now, the Cook and Sabatos Crystal Ball do have the races, lean Republican. Inside elections is a little better if they have it as a battleground. This should go, at worst for Democrats, this should be a toss-up. At worst. Maybe tilt-R, but at worst for Democrats, realistically, if we're talking about toss-up to lean D, somewhere in that range. And I have it as tilt D. Now, this one poll is between Tom Nelson and Ron Johnson. Nelson's leading, but this isn't a very reliable poll. And I already looked at this poll. This is a Democratic internal poll. And internal polls, as we know, are biased towards whichever party they are trying to poll for. And they're just bad. They sampled the wrong demographics. They oversample certain demographics. They undersample others. They're just bad. So this poll does not mean anything to me. I get the Democrats ahead here, but this does not mean anything to me. Now, the reason I think the Democrats are favored here is because of their candidate who's playing. If it's a Ron Johnson versus Sarah Godlewski race, I think that Sarah Godlewski would probably win, and I'll say this for a couple reasons. Now, first of all, in the 2000 and we didn't have to look at that. In the 2018 Senate race, Tammy Baldwin won re-election by 11%. She had a pretty impressive victory here. She did very well in a lot of places. She did well with the working class over here. She did well with Milwaukee voters. She did, she actually did. She did pretty well in the WOW counties, which are, for those of you who don't know, Waukesha, Washington, and Ozaukee County. Hopefully, I didn't get that wrong because that would be really embarrassing. But the WOW counties are exurban Milwaukee counties that are pretty Republican, but at this point, they're trending to the left. They're trending to the left, and she did pretty well in the WOW counties. Now, when we take a look at Green Bay, and Door County is my favorite bellwether of the state. I like to say that where Door goes, so does Wisconsin. And this sounds pretty cliche, but Door voters, for whatever reason, just they get it right. They actually messed up in the 2018 gubernatorial election. They went for Walker, and he lost the election, but that's okay because I still like that county. But they went for Baldwin by a pretty big margin. And Brown County, which is where Green Bay is, she also won Brown. She won even Outagamie County, which is where Nelson was from. So, and of course, these northern counties are Democratic for whatever reason. I don't even know why. And then you clear to another big city. So, when we talk about how well Baldwin did, she got the best of both worlds for Democrats. She did well in the big cities like Milwaukee, Madison, and she also did well with the working class all across here. And she even won Green Bay, which is a more Republican city. So Scott Walker, Tony Evers, he did better he did worse than Tammy Baldwin. As you can see, compare the maps, he did worse. But he was running against an incumbent, and the Democrats still flipped the seat, which was a pretty important for them. really, when we talk about this gubernatorial election. Now, he didn't do as well with the working class as Baldwin did. He underperformed basically everywhere, as you can see, but he still did. He still did pretty well. The Democrats at this point they'll take whatever statewide victory they can get in Wisconsin. So they in 2018 they swept all statewide elections, and again that was a blue wave year. But in 2020, what they do? Well, they ended up winning Wisconsin. They won in 2020. Biden, he did pretty well in the suburbs. He didn't do as well with the working class, but I think the working class is going to be more Democratic in 2022 than 2020 because of Trump not being on the ballot. And he did very well in Madison. He did very well in Milwaukee. So, when people talk about Biden underperforming in Wisconsin, no, I think he did a pretty good job. And I think that for this reason, the Democrats have for the short term, I think they should be pretty happy with where they are in the state. So I think that right now, if Goodluski runs against Johnson, we could see kind of a mix of a Biden and Evers coalition. Evers did better with the working class, as you can see. This is kind of these working class areas, but Biden he did better in the suburbs and in the bigger cities like Dane County and Milwaukee County. So I think that we could see a mix where Goodluski, she does better with the working class, but a little worse in the suburbs, or she could even do the same in the suburbs. But I think she can do better for sure with the working class than the rurals, which is why I think she's favored right now, because the GOP is just so divided. The Democrats, they have their divisions, but the GOP is so divided. They, like when you think about it, they are so, if they run a more moderate candidate who's designed to appeal to the suburbs, they don't get the rural numbers. And if they do the opposite and they run a candidate like Trump, who has appealed to the rurals and working class even, they still lose states like Wisconsin. It's a lose-lose situation for them. Johnson's going to have a very hard time trying to pander to both sides. And I think that he's not going to get the, and a lot of Trump supporters are unhappy with Johnson. They think he's too much of a corporatist, as I mentioned. I think that he's not going to get the rural turnout that he needs. I think he's going to lose the working class and at least do worse than Trump. So the reason I think that this is a race the Democrats should be feeling pretty good about, just far from safety, but I think that this is a race that they are favored in, which is my hot take of the day. So if you enjoyed this video and found it informative, please leave a like. If you didn't like it, please leave a dislike. It really does help me with the algorithm, and I truly appreciate it. So that's all I have for today. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.